Action Stories Part 10. Grasping the handles at the stern of the dinghy, I twisted it over from its inverted stout position and slid it towards the rail, noting that the water was now nearly level with Lucetta's deck as she wallowed sluggishly in the seaway. Douglas ran from after the deck with the oars and thrust them under the thwarts as I slid the dinghy seawards across the coach roof. Then he took hold of the stern from me and slid the dinghy the rest of the way into the sea, Robin holding on to the painter to keep it from floating away. These rafts, to our relief, our great and lasting relief, had gone off with a bang and was already half inflated, and Lynn, having severed the lashings on the water containers and flares, was carrying them to the dinghy. I caught up the knife and again shouted, "Abandon ship," for I feared Lucetta's rigging might catch one of us as she went down. Then cut the lashings on the bag of onions which I gave to Sandy, instructing him to make for the raft. A bag of oranges which I threw into dinghy, and a small bag of lemons to follow. It was now too dangerous to stay aboard, and noting that Douglas, Robin, and Sandy had already gone, and that Neil was still sitting in the dinghy, which was 3/4 full of water, I shouted that he also should make for the raft. He jumped back on Lucette, clutching his teddy bears, then plunged into the sea. Swimming strongly for the raft, Lynn struggled through the rails into the water, still without a life jacket, and I walked into the sea, first throwing the knife into the dinghy, the waters closing over Lucetta's scuppers as we left her. I feared that the whales would now attack us, and urged everyone into the raft, which was fully inflated and exhausting surplus gas noisily. After helping Lynn into the raft, I swam back to the dinghy, now completely swamped, with oranges floating around it from the bag, which had burst, and standing inside to protect myself from attack. Through all the oranges and lemons with reach into the raft. The water containers had already floated away and had sunk, as had the box of the flares. And since the dinghy was now 3 feet under the water, having only enough flotation to support itself, I made my way back to the raft again, grabbing a floating tin of petrol as I went. On leaving the dinghy, I caught a last glimpse of Lucette, the water level with her spreaders and only the tops of her sails showing. Slowly she cut sea below the waves, and a lady to the last. She was gone when I looked again. I climbed wearily into the yellow inflatable, a sense of unreality flooding through me, feeling sure that soon I would soon waken and find the dreams gone. I looked at my watch, and it was 1:50. "Killer whales," said Douglas. Lynn gazed numbly at me, quietly reassuring the twins who had started crying. Apart from the noise of the sea around us, we gazed in silent disbelief at our strange surroundings.